In this video, we're going to look at the fourth law of indices, which is raising a power to another power. Now, what that means is, let's pick a number, say 7. So 7 squared, that's already a power. It's a base of 7 and it's being raised by one power, which is 2. Now, when we raise to another power, that means that we're raising this to a further power. So say I'm cubing that. Now I could write that out in factor form by expanding. Now if I expand, I'm doing 7 squared cubed, which means I'm timesing that 7 squared by itself 3 times. Okay, now we know that 7 squared is also an index, so we're going to expand each of these little ones as well. So 7 squared is 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 by 7. Now what we see there is we've got 6 of the base 7 timesing by itself. So we can simplify that, writing that in index form as 7 to the power 6. Now can we spot a rule? The base is 7. It has to be true for the rule to work. Let's look at the index. We've got 2 and 3. And our outcome was 6. Can anyone spot what the pattern might be? Let's just do another one just to make sure. Let's go with 2 to the power 4 raised to the power 3. Okay, so I'm going to do the same. I'm going to write it out in factor form. So 2 to the power 4, I'm cubing. So I'm going to multiply that by itself 3 times. There we go. Now, each of these is obviously 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which will take me a little bit of time to write out. So I'm just going to pause the video while I write that. There you go. And we can see there, if we count all these 2's, we actually have 2 to the power 12. Now, let's look. The base had to be 2 for it to work. And we were raising by a couple of powers, to the power 4 and to the power 3. Can we see a link between 4 and 3 and the answer 12? All right, what I'm going to do is, hopefully you've spotted that you can multiply the indices together. So I'm going to write this rule down. This is called raising a power, and this is the fourth law of indices. And there it is in the purple box. So there are actually a couple of deviations of this rule, which involve when you've got more than one thing in a bracket, or if the bracket has a fraction. And it's exactly the same principle. Whatever's in the bracket, each thing in the bracket you raise to this power. And again, if it's a fraction, you raise to that power. So I'm going to write those sort of rules down now in a purple box below. And now I'm going to show you how these work. So I'll just do a couple of examples where we've got some things in a bracket and we're raising them to a power. So let's do that. Let's do 2b to the power 5 raised to the power 2. Now if I'm going to look at this, I've got to raise each thing inside the bracket to the power 2. So 2 to the power 2 is 4. And now I'm going to do b to the power 5. So b is the base, and then raise that to the power 2. So I can use the multiplication law that we've just learnt above. So it's 5 times 2, which is 10. So it's b to the power 10. If you're not sure, you can always write it out in full factor form. So let me say that was 2 squared we did first, multiplied by b to the 5 times b to the 5. That's what that means. And then obviously you can then write it out and you should end up with 4b to the 10. Let's just do a division one, 2a to the power 5 divided by d squared, and let's raise the whole thing to the power 3. Okay, so I'm now applying these rules up here because I've got more than one thing. So all of the top, this says that all of the top is raised to the power 3 and all of the bottom is raised to the power 3, but obviously they've got other powers as well. So let's do the numerator. 2 cubed is 8. And then a is the base to the power 5, a to the power 5 raised to the power 3. Using that raising a power of power law gives me a to the power 15. Divided by, now I've got d squared, d is the base, d squared, 2 times 3 is 6, so I'm left with d to the power 6. Now, if this can be further simplified, you must further simplify. In this case, it can't be. Just be aware that often you can further simplify.